In this video, I'm going to take you through the step-by-step process on how to properly set up your Google search campaign, or as many people would refer to it, a PPC campaign inside of Google's Ads Manager. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Gergo, and for the past 4 years, I've been working with e-com brands, helping them diversify their revenue away from inconsistent ad platforms like Facebook, growing them to multiple 7-figure years. So with no further ado, let's dive straight into this in-depth video and get your search campaign set up properly. So I'm going to be setting up this search campaign for an e-com brand that sells premium motorized TV mounts in the US. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to go through and press this new create campaign button. So since this campaign is for a product-based business, we're going to be focusing on the sales objective. Now, obviously, if you're an info product business and you want to generate more leads to your funnel, then you would choose leads as an objective. Or let's say you're a service-based software agency and you want to generate more users to your application, then you would use that as an objective. But for this example, we're going to be using sales. Now, I've already got my conversion action set up, but if you don't have it, you don't need to worry. You can always add it here or in the Google Ad Manager. So you want to go through and click continue. The only thing I would add here is that if you want to remove any of your conversion goals, you can do that by clicking here. But bear in mind, it's only going to be removed from this specific campaign and not your whole account. So don't worry about that. Now just go through, click continue, and we want to be selecting the search campaign. I'm going to go for website visits and I'm going to type in the website URL for this example. Now, when it comes to naming your campaign, Google will just give you like a random made up name. But what you want to essentially do is you use naming convention. This is really important because this is going to save you a lot of time and effort. So you want to be as time efficient as possible in terms of being able to know, in terms of knowing what's inside your campaign without even having to open it. So everything from audiences to launch date, you want to put everything in your naming conventions that's the most relevant to you in order to be time efficient and save energy on not actually having to open up campaigns to know what's going on inside of them. So let me go through and click continue. Now, when it comes to bidding, pay attention because this is going to be inside a new account and a completely new campaign. So we're going to be starting on clicks, and eventually you want to move that to max conversions so that you're getting the max amount of conversions, because really the ultimate goal is not to expose our link to as many people as possible, but to have as many conversions as possible from those. Now, I do have a whole separate video on the best bidding strategies, so just feel free to check it out right here. But when doing PPC, before you go to actually maximizing conversions with your bidding strategy, you want to be getting at least 30 conversions in a 30-day window. So that way you'll be gathering enough data at that point to tell the algorithm, okay, hey, now that we know all this data and now that we have all this data about our customers, we can just go ahead and try to focus on maximizing getting as much conversions from those as possible. But it's just too early for that stage, so let's just start on clicks. And then from there, just go through, and now you'll have two options for including your search partners and being included in the Google Display Network. So if you're based in the US, I would definitely recommend turning this on. And the reason for that is because probably they're one of the only markets that has some good market share with other search engines, but anywhere else, I just haven't seen the benefit of including it. Now, when it comes to Display Network, I do not turn this on. Like, I leave this off. And the reason for that is because if you're going to do display ads, it's better to have the investment in putting in the extra effort and time to make a specific display campaign, like a separate campaign. Whereas if you're just using your search campaign, you're using literally search text ads, you're just not going to have the same results. So if you want to be doing ads in the Display Network, which is the image-based ads on Google, so to say, you're better off setting up a separate display campaign. Now, when it comes to locations to target, for this one, I'm just going to target the US. And moving on here, you're presented with two options when it comes to location. So there's the presence and interest. And as Google explains, these are people who are interested in your targeted location. So now the reason for why I'm choosing presence only is because I don't want Google to show my ad to people outside of the US. So if we had it on interest, we would also be targeting people who are outside of the country who have shown interest in the US. Now, when it comes to languages, you always want to select English plus the native language of your selected location. Now, since they speak English in the US, I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. And bear in mind, when it comes to Google Ads, you need to remember that Google does not translate your ad copies. So if you want to set up a search campaign for France, for example, you would want to put that in a separate campaign. I always find that it's better to have individual languages inside of one campaign. Now, moving on, when it comes to audience segments, you can filter your targeting by, let's say, for example, we are selling TV mounts right now, so direct to consumer and not B2B. So I want to filter by homeowners because I don't want to target offices, for example. But I would definitely recommend adding some of your relevant audiences depending whether you're doing a branded or a non-branded campaign. All right, so now when it comes to broad match option, we're going to be adding in our keywords later, so you can just leave it as it is. And then we can move on to the additional settings. Now, people do ask a lot about ad rotation. I prefer to leave it on prefer best performing ad because I run multiple ads at the same time. And yes, you want to keep as much control over as possible, but you want to give Google good control because if the algorithm picks up an early trend and they will favor one ad because it's getting, let's say, a better click-through rate or a conversion rate, I want that ad to be pushed. Now, start and end dates, you can't add the start date date and you don't need to add an end date, because if you're only looking to run your search campaigns for 2 to 3 weeks, then search campaigns are not really for you. You should really consider search campaign as an always on campaign that is never turned off, and you want to run these week in, week out, month in, month out, and really just slowly building up that momentum and performance. Now, you shouldn't really touch the other additional settings here. However, setting up the ad schedule makes sense, but only when you have data on when your targeted customers are purchasing or when they're the most interactive with your ads. Otherwise, it just really doesn't make any sense to limit your exposure. All right, so when you go through, now it comes to the part where you're going to be adding in your keywords at the ad group level. So first, you want to name the ad group. Again, this should happen according to your naming conventions. What's the most relevant to you when targeting different keywords? Because let's say your brand says multiple products or accessories, you want to put those into separate ad groups so that you have differentiated data on each keyword group. So right now, I'm just going to name this motorized TV mounts. This is a product of this brand, and I'm going to specifically target keywords around this type of their products. So let's just type in all the keywords we want to be targeting. So for this example, let's just start with about 3 to 4 longer tail phrase match. So just remember, Google is not targeting the words itself because it's phrase match. So it's going to be targeting intent or the meaning of these keywords. And then from there, we need to go and add in our ads. Now you want to be directing people to the most relevant landing page you got. So if you have a VSL funnel, landing page, or whatever homepage that you specifically designed for nurturing people, then just add the URL of that. But since we're using an AI tracking software with all of our clients, we can easily identify customer journeys and sales cycles. So therefore, when it comes to just e-com shops, we're just putting the homepage and see where they go from there. So let's just add in our URL of the homepage right now. And from here, it's really just a matter of going through and adding in your headlines. Now, once you've added these in, it gives you the option to add in more different ad extensions. I highly recommend you go through and add in some site links and callouts. So just to quickly explain what site links are, these are different navigation links that is added under your ad. So for example, for this one, what you would do is you would add some site links around your different products, site links about special offers, as well as guarantees, warranties, etc. What's the most relevant in terms of selling the product. And then callouts are going to be little callout text that appear after the headline. Now, really by going through and adding all of these assets, what it does is that it helps you improve your ad rank, all right? So I really highly recommend doing these, and you can see that it's quite an easy process of setting these up. And then one of the last things we need to do is set the budget. Now, when you land on this section, Google will just give you a recommended budget, which would usually be over the top. So what you want to pay attention to here is that you want to look at your keyword research that you did before doing and setting up the search campaign, and you will have a section called top of the page bids. For this example, it was around $3 or so. Generally, what you should do is you go 10 times because you want to be getting at least 10 clicks a day. So starting at $30 a day in this example is going to be manageable. So don't always follow Google's recommendations. Ideally, what you want to pay attention to is that you set a budget so that you get at least 10 clicks each day. Obviously, more clicks is better, but if you're a small business, you want to start as low as possible so you can get enough data and increase the budget later on when you have results. Then just go through and click next. And then from here, all you need to do is publish the campaign. But before doing that, I highly recommend going through the review because there can be typos, there can be keyword mistakes that you do want to catch before going live with your campaign. Now, one of the things I do want to stress, especially if it's a new Google account you're doing this on, it can take up to 3 days for your ads to be shown. So don't be scared if you press publish and you won't see your ad for a while. Now, if you want to know how we grow businesses with Google, schedule a demo call with us down below. You can find the links in the description or the top comments and get your personalized quote today. Or if you're not ready for that, check out this video where I break down the best bidding strategies. Cheers.